everybody, this is Wanda from A Pattern to Follow, and today we are going to crochet this beautiful jumbo sunflower pattern. This is a really fun pattern to use as an applique for all kinds of things. In the past I have used it to put on a hat. This measures about almost 8 inches across. It's more like 7 3/4 inches, or in centimeters, it's almost 20 centimeters. So it's a very large flower. We're doing this one today in worsted weight yarn, but you can use a smaller weight yarn. For instance, I did this one out of different colors and a lighter weight yarn, and honestly I'm not really sure what the weight of this yarn is because this was gifted to me from my mother-in-law after she passed. I inherited her yarn, let's put it that way. If I were guessing, I'd say it's a 2, possibly a 1 in weight, and I believe I used this 3.5 millimeter or an E hook. This is just a metal boyer hook that I use to crochet this, but you can see the huge difference in size. So depending on the size of yarn that you choose to make this flower out of, it can be large or small, but this one's 5 1/4 inches across, so it's definitely smaller. But with a lot of patterns, you can do that. They're just a general pattern. Depending on the weight of yarn you use and the size of hook you use, you'll get a different size. Some patterns, that doesn't matter. Other patterns, like apparel, it definitely matters. So I'm gonna set that aside, but just so you can see, there is a big difference in the size of flower you can make depending on your yarn. Today, I am using a worsted weight yarn. These are out of my yarn stash, but I believe they are loops and threads. Impeccable yarn from Michaels. I believe this is gold. And shoot, I looked this one up. I think it's chocolate brown. I can't remember the color, but I'm pretty sure they're both Impeccable yarns from Loops and Threads. In my original blog post, I linked to Vanna's Choice yarn in mustard and chocolate is what I originally did it in, but obviously you can use any worsted weight yarn that you like. I'm using this is a Clover Eye 5.5 millimeter hook, and you'll need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle. These are my favorite because I don't have to worry about eyeballing getting the yarn in. I love slipping these in. So today I will show you how to make this, and hopefully getting you through that round 6, which most people on the pattern had a really difficult time with. This will help you to do this. Now I need to clarify that this is not my pattern. This pattern is from Paper Wool Yarn, who apparently is no longer on the web. So I'm very, very grateful that I did a copy and paste on that pattern because it was something I was using and loved. So I do have the pattern. I wish I knew the name of the person who had that blog. Again, Paper Wool Yarn, this is her pattern. I have, because it is no longer available, I have gone in and added it to my original blog post, Jumbo Sunflower, large appliqué jumbo sunflower, I believe is what I call it. My website is appatterntofollow.com, and you can find the pattern and you'll find this video linked there also. Again, I'm only doing this because she no longer has her blog available and people have been asking me how to get a hold of the pattern. So I posted the pattern on my webpage exactly as she posted it, and some of it might be a little confusing. That's why this video is helpful. She also had a schematic available on her website, so I actually had a copy of that too. So if you know how to read schematics, this might work better for you. It could also be confusing, I suppose. It just depends on how well you know how to read a schematic, because Row 6 again can get a little confusing. So this is available. You have to hit the link on my blog post to actually open a PDF up of this, and then you can print this off. But for me personally, the written pattern, which again I have on my website, was easier. So hopefully you enjoy this video today. If you do, give it a thumbs up and give me a subscription. Thanks so much. Let's get started. We begin with a magic ring with the yarn facing down. Wrap around 2 fingers, cross over. I like to catch it here. Pull through and twist. Grab this yarn, pull through, and then pinch this so it doesn't go anywhere. And that is your first clip on for your magic ring. We're going to chain 3, so 1, 2, 3. That will count as your first double crochet. The pattern says to chain 14 double crochets in that ring, so that one counts as 1. But this will be our first double crochet. Oh my goodness, my yarn wanted to cross over. Let's try that again. Sometimes it's a little tricky getting started. Actually, if you pull this a little bit tighter with a smaller circle, I find it easier to manage. So yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2 for a double crochet. That's your first double crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 12, 13, and 14, and then pull that chain, pull it in tight. If you struggle with a magic ring, you can just chain a couple and slip stitch into it and join in the middle of that circle. You're fine. So I like to count just to make sure I got it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then the 15 one is the top of your chain 3. So I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that. Oh, didn't go in it, between it. Sometimes it's easier to catch one and flip it under, so it's coming through. And slip stitch, and that's your first round. For round 2, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and do a DC into the same stitch that join was in. And then 2 in each stitch around. So that's 2. So we'll have a total of 2 times 15 is 30. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this would be your last stitch in this round. Okay, for round 3 we need to slip stitch into the top of, sorry, this brown yarn is so hard to see. Into the top of that chain 3. And then the pattern says to chain 3 and DC into that same chain you slip stitched into. And then chain 1 and 2 more DCs into that same chain. We're going to be creating a space to crochet into for our round 4. Then it says to skip 2 stitches, so we skip 1 and 2. And in the next stitch, we do 2 DCs. And chain 1 and 2 more double crochet in that stitch. Skip the next 2 stitches. Make sure if you have a question that you pull on it so you can see where you're, boy, that's hard to see in that dark yarn. Skip 2. Double crochet, 2 twice, slip stitch, and 2 double crochets. Repeat that all the way around. Okay, I'm down to my last 2 clusters. There will be 10 total. And I did have to undo my work because I went 3 stitches in the back, so I had to go back and redo it because I didn't end up with enough. So be really careful, because when you're counting your 2 skip miss it stitches, it kind of looks like this is the one. I don't know if you can really see that. This one right here is where it looks like your stitch was, but it's technically this one. And that's what I did wrong last time. It's just really hard to see in this brown yarn. So I skipped 2, we'll do our last couple of clusters. 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Skip 2, this is your last cluster. Chain 1 and 2 double crochets. If you get to this point and you see that you don't have 2 chains left, then you've messed things up somewhere along the line. That's why I had to go back and recount, because I got that far and I didn't have 2 chains left. Okay, so we have a total of 10 clusters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 you began your row with. Cut your yarn and pull through and pull tight. Okay, you've just created the center of your sunflower. All right, to begin round 4, you're going to do a join your yarn in any of these chain spaces in the middle of any of your clusters. Doesn't have to be the same one you ended with. You can join it in any way you'd like. I like to just slip my yarn through and make a slip stitch. Then the pattern says to chain 3 and do 2 double crochets into that same chain space. That's 1 and 2. And then it says to do 2 chains and then 3 double crochets. So your chain 3 counted as a double crochet in this cluster. 2 and 3. So each chain space is going to have 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So we move straight on to the next chain space and do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So this is what your clusters will look like in that first round of your flower stem color. So repeat again, just chain 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Okay, you'll repeat that all the way around and you should have 10 at the end of this round. I'll meet you back before we finish the last cluster. We're down to our last couple of clusters on this round. Chain 2, 3 DCs, 2 and 3, and our last one. 1, 2, 3, 2 double crochets, and 1, 2, and 3. And end this round with a slip stitch into the top of that chain 3 from round 4. And this is what your flower should look like so far. It's actually kind of cute, just like that. But we're going to keep going, okay? So you've done your slip stitch, and now we begin round 5. And it says to do 8 double crochets around the chain of the first group. That would be right here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so there's 8 double crochets around that first cluster group. Then the next thing it says to do is to do 1 single crochet between the double crochet of the 4th round. So this is round 4, and these are between the clusters. That's sometimes a little bit hard to understand. So you're going to do a single crochet. I think I choose to go actually in the stitch to do a single crochet, but you can actually go around the whole thing if you like, and then move on to do 8 more double crochets in the next cluster group. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then again move down to this and do a single crochet just to attach those 8. So this is what the flower starts to look like around here, okay? You're going to continue this all the way around and meet me back here. Make sure you're getting 8 double crochets in each space because it's very important for the next round to make sure you have the right number. I'll meet you back at the beginning. Again, just 8 double crochets in the next space, single crochet into the next space in between. I'm down to my last 2 clusters. And I've got 4 in this one, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And as I went around, I actually liked the look better of going under the whole thing rather than in the stitch. So that is the difference. You can see the difference of these 2 are in the stitch, and then I started going under the stitch. I don't think it's different enough to pull it undone to make sure it's consistent, but I did like under the whole stitch rather than between. So this is our last cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this time you're going to join with a slip stitch into the first double crochet of the groups, which would be this one right here. Okay, now we're ready for round 6. Now round 6 is the one that most people said they had a hard time understanding in the written instructions. So we're going to go over that very carefully so you understand exactly how it works. Okay, to begin this round, you're going to do a single crochet in the same stitch that you just did your slip stitch in. So that counts as 1, and then you do it in the next 3. 2 and 3. Now, the pattern says to do 2 chains right here. I did 3 because I felt like it made a little bit nicer point on my flower in this bigger yarn. So I will be chaining 3 instead of 2, but you can chain 2 as the pattern says. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do a single crochet right into the next stitch and do 4 in a row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here's the part that gets confusing. You chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you come down to, you're going to do a single crochet into round 3 at the top of round 3, which is the last row of your brown color. So it's the last row of the center color of your flower. And you need to do it above on top, not underneath. So you need to leave your yarn on top, grab that, pull through, and do a single crochet. So that's attached to the brown row. On my blog post, you'll see pictures showing you each of these steps to help you figure that out. That's why that post was helpful to people, because they could understand the pattern, but then the pattern no longer became available. So that's why I'm trying to help you do this. Okay, then you chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go back up the side of the next cluster of flowers. You're going to do a single crochet into that first double crochet below, and 3 more. So 2, 3, 4. Again, I like to chain 3 instead of 2 here. 2, 3. Back down into the next, top of the next double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then down into the top of row 3, which is your center color, keeping the yarn and the hook on top of your work. Pull through and do a single crochet. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, back up to your first double crochet, single crochet inside of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 change for me. You can be doing 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. Bring it down to the top and do a single crochet in the top of that double crochet in round 3. The center color of your flower. 1, 2, 3. So now you can see we've been going around the outside of the petal and attaching with those chain 3 stitches down in the center of the 3. That's what makes this fun outside petal of this. So those chain 3s are really important here. If you forget them, it'll pull your whole petal forward. So we've just done a chain 3, we're ready to start around here. That's again why it's really important to make sure you had 8 double crochets in each stitch on round 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 2 or 3. Just be consistent. And 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 3, bring your hook down, put it under the double crochet space in round 3, excuse me, single crochet, and whoops, almost forgot my 3 chains. That makes a difference. 2, 3. You won't like the look of it if you forget your chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. One thing about crochet, it's usually easy to pull your work back. Just make sure you're checking along the way to make sure you're being consistent. Isn't that fun? I mean, you could have ended the flower here or the row before, but this is what really makes this fun. So continue that around the next ones, and I'll meet you up on these last couple of petals. Okay, I'm on my last petal before we need to join again. So I'm at the top of the petal where I've just my 3 chains or 2 chains. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as we started our pattern, we started along the top edge of here. So we still need chains from on both sides of this area. So chain 3 down, attach. And again, I've been going inside the stitch, but you can go around that whole loop if you want, much like on the other row. If you prefer to go around this whole section, slip it in between, you're welcome to do that. And then chain 3 to come up to the top and slip stitch into that first single crochet stitch. Cut your yarn and pull through. And you have just completed the beautiful jumbo crochet flower. I really love this pattern. It's really fun to do, and this is a fun addition that could be put on hats or applied to quilts, or who knows. I'd love to see what you do with this and how you use this large jumbo flower. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to weave in your ends.